Danielle Smith, back with Style in Your Life. I'm really excited to share this with you. If you remember, last month we talked about how I planted a beginner's garden. This was something I've done for the very first time. I planted them in pots. These pots have been out here on my deck for the past month. So this is my follow-up. How am I doing? How is it progressing? I went back to Lowe's because Lowe's is where I got all of the advice on how to start all of this. If you remember, I planted cucumbers, I planted cherry tomatoes, I planted red and green peppers. I did an entire bucket of herbs. So I planted lavender, sweet basil, rosemary, and oregano, and then I planted one pot with raspberries. So I am 3 for 4. My raspberries didn't make it, so we're actually going to replant strawberries today in my raspberry bucket. I'll show you how that worked in just a couple of minutes. But first, I wanted to talk about the success and what we do now to harvest, because quite clearly, this is the second step for me. I didn't know what to do. How do I know when all of these plants are ready for picking? Let's start here because this is where I've seen the biggest and most beautiful growth. These are my cucumbers. I was told cucumbers are a vine plant, so they will attach to things. We put the trellis here in the center, and sure enough, these cucumbers are attaching to everything and anything. They are growing down. I went back to Lowe's and I said, what do I do with this? It's growing so fast. They recommended that I actually take this particular pot and I put it down on the ground in our backyard so that the cucumbers can spread out along the ground and they can vine themselves the way they want to. These yellow flowers, all of the yellow flowers that you see here, these are all going to be cucumbers, and I can't wait to see it. On the back side here, I'm going to turn this around so that you can see the success of my tomatoes. Just this morning, my children and I came outside and we could see the success of our tomatoes. Look in here, cherry tomatoes. They're all growing, little bitty baby ones and a couple that are a little bit larger. Now, we don't want green tomatoes, we want red cherry tomatoes. So we are, of course, waiting for these to ripen and then we'll pick them. My daughter said to me this morning, Mommy, do I have to eat those? Sure enough, she will. If we're growing them, we are definitely going to be eating these, and I cannot wait. Moving on to the red and green peppers. I'm going to show you the thing I am most excited about. This right here, beautiful pepper, great big green pepper. I asked at Lowe's, how do I know when it's ready? And he said, here's something that's kind of funny. You're going to look at the bottom of the pepper for an innie or an outie, kind of like when I was pregnant. When my belly button popped out, we knew that's when I was ready to have a baby. You're going to look at the bottom of the pepper, and that's when you'll know sort of when it starts to pop out, you'll know that's when this pepper is ready to be picked. One of the things here that's actually bothered me is, if you can see here on the plant, there are holes in some of the leaves. Now that means something is actually eating my plant. I don't have any idea what. I'm not an expert here. What do I do? I went in and I asked, what do I do? And they recommended that I put this particular product. It's called 7. So I'm going to spray this not only on this particular plant, but on the others. It is safe for foods that we eat. I made sure of that. And then I will know that we'll still be okay. But also within the plant, there are all the little white flowers will eventually be peppers. So I'm very excited to see red peppers eventually grow. I haven't seen any of those yet, but we are making good progress. Moving into my herbs, I'm so excited about this, but I have to be honest. I didn't know, when are they ready? How do I know when I can actually pick the basil, pick the lavender, pick the oregano, pick the rosemary? How do you know when any of these are ready? Well, you pick and you'll rub it back and forth between your fingers. And if you can smell it, if it smells like basil, and it does, then it's ready for you to use in your home, in your cooking, however you'd like. I don't have to buy this in the store anymore. I have this on my deck, right here in my house. So this for me is the most tremendous success. I can't even begin to tell you how exciting this is for me. Okay, so this is where my success wasn't so successful. This was my moment, my raspberries that didn't work. Now, admittedly, when I bought the raspberries, they gave me a discount. Instead of being, in that $10 range, they gave it to me for $3. So we were thinking that it wasn't necessarily the most lively of plants to begin with, but we wanted to try. When I was back at Lowe's talking about raspberries, he said a lot of times you have to baby a raspberry plant and you only end up with 3 or 4 or 5 raspberries anyway. So we're going to try strawberries instead. I asked if I could reuse the same soil, the same pot, and he said absolutely, so long as you get the entire raspberry plant out. So that's my goal now. As I am getting this out of here, I can feel that it barely even set up root. I mean, that's how I put it in, and that's how it's coming out. So I just have a bag back here that I'm just gonna toss it in. Bye, raspberry plants. So we have our strawberry plants, which look beautiful and healthy, right? So we're gonna take these out. And there are quite a few in here. And I feel good about the strawberry plants. I was looking at them yesterday and they look like they have some additional potential. And I'm going to add some additional soil here. We'll put some Miracle-Gro in there with it, and we should be good to go. Okay, now we're trying over with the strawberries, but you've seen the success we've had. You've seen a little bit about how we're gonna harvest the success that we have had and where we go from here, and I'm really excited about this. What type of plants, what type of vegetables, what type of strawberries are you working on? And if you've got any additional tips for me, you know I would love to hear about them. Thank you for watching as always. Connect with me on Twitter at Danielle Smith TV, and I will talk to you again in a week.